Oh, hey. Didn't see you there. You may or may not be aware of the art competition event thing hosted by Cynic's Design known as ChromaCore. If you are aware, that makes you exponentially cooler than the people who aren't aware, but I digress, as if I know what that means. It is a art competition where you submit your... It's not even really a competition. You draw a character, submit it, you maybe get in, maybe you don't, and then the judge, Cynics, will eliminate you, not you personally, will eliminate people based on their performance in the art competition, which consists of 30 or so days of prompts where they must come up with a finished design by the end of the day. I kind of wanted to participate this year, but I had to fly to Berlin and do a backflip. What can you do? Nevertheless, this got me thinking about what kind of character I would have done. The theme this year was bands, or like a band adjacent character. And so that got me thinking about what I would have done for that. After some cogitation, I eventually landed on the idea that a Viking undead guy with like a guitar, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but there you go. But I thought the idea was like novel and kind of cool, and I haven't seen it done before, so I decided to give it a try. I sat down. What a sound that was! God, what was in that milk and or cookies? I don't know how old those cookies are, actually. There could be anything. So I sat down and decided to try and do a little brainstorming just to see if the idea was good or not. I started off with some thumbnails, silhouettes mostly. Let me just have a look. I'm actually lying, I didn't do that. My main concern in the idea of a Viking Rockstar, as I ended up calling the file, I think, Rockstar drew it, was the guitar, because they didn't have guitars, I think. I didn't really do much research on that. I just Googled Viking instrument, and I didn't see a guitar. So that's my research there. Sources cited, Google Images. So what I did is I went on internet. I scrolled on Pinterest and just looked at a bunch of like Viking aesthetic photos, and then I looked up Viking tattoos, I guess, and like I just looked at Viking shit and started like sketching out different guitar ideas. And then I realized I don't know what a guitar looks like, so I Googled guitars as well. A lot of research here, mostly Google Images. After some sketching, I thought that this one looked pretty nice, but it doesn't look like a Viking thing. Eventually I decided the entire like thing was just not working. So I thought maybe I just look up. So I thought it might be cool to like try a more runic thing. And so I just freehanded made a guitar sort of rune-like. What am I saying? I drew a guitar with a sort of like rune-like inspiration, and then a thought struck me that I should look up what the rune for music is. And lo and behold, it looks very much like a 5-string guitar. Coincidence. However, after doing some sketches with that, I just thought the shape was kind of lame, so I slightly adjusted the rune to fit a more pleasant design perspective. And I ended up with quite a cool looking guitar. At this point I should mention that the idea behind the guitar and the Viking thing, he would have like a guitar tattoo across his body that he would then like tear out, or like not tear out of his skin, like magic out of his skin and then play it. And I thought it would be pretty cool if then I could just play around a bit with the style. And so, I mean, I render in a semi-realistic style, but then the guitar itself would continue to be a very two-dimensional runic thing. Okay, the concept is here. Viking, rune, guitar, tattoo. Bingo. Send it off to the shareholders, they'll love it. So I moved on into a new document, a new page, I guess, and started doing some thumbnails for the character. I started off with a more Rockstar heavy inspiration with long hair and sort of like belts going across him and tight black pants. It was what I had in my mind. And then I gave him a shoulder pauldron so it wasn't just like a Rockstar, you know, and so he actually had some sort of a Viking thing going on. For the second one, I decided to go for a more Viking heavy inspiration because I feel like the guitar does a lot of the Rockstar work for me, and so I need to lean more into the Viking aspect of things, and I did. And so I gave him a more like Viking helmet. I gave him a horn on one side because of the false idea that Vikings had horns on their helmets. But you got to give it to him. That shit looks awesome. I love a Viking helmet with horns. I threw some sort of animal skin on his back and then moved on to the third thumbnail. Honestly, the last two thumbnails are pretty... I haven't got much to say about him. Fourth one, gave him a beard. Didn't like it. I went back to the third one and I thought, okay, I don't like the skull face. And so I kind of ended up ditching the idea of a undead Viking Rockstar, which was the original brief. But it was just too much going on. Alright? Don't worry about it. This done, I moved into a new document and started sketching out sort of what I thought the pants might look like. Honestly, below the body, below the waist, it's very boring apart from his penis, which is very interesting. And I just threw in like sort of a Rockstar belt and sort of like Rockstar boots. Pretty cool. The main thing I wanted to tackle here is the tattoos in this deliberation, because I didn't want it to just be the guitar tattoo. I wanted there to be other tattoos that had like gone around as well. Because in my mind, this character, right? I didn't give him a name. He can be Viking Jackson. Viking Jackson. I don't know. Percy. His name is Percy. Everybody's happy. His name is Percy. In my mind, in the lore of this character, he exists in a world where, like, this is maybe back in 1000 AC after Christ, right? Not that they would care about that, because they don't know Christ. They don't know Christ! They only know pagan gods, like Odin! My brothers and sisters! So they live in, about 1,000 years ago, maybe, but in a different world. Whatever. They live during Viking times. We don't have to put a label on this. There's no need to put a label on it. We can just be what we are. We can be bees. They live during Viking times, and they've got sort of like a magical element to the world, because I'm a whore for magic, and I really like fantasy settings. And in this universe, they've discovered that runes, when like tattooed on skin, can... I don't know, be transmogrified into... Maybe runes just have power. That can be it. And then when he wants to use his guitar, he like pulls it out of his skin. Maybe I can edit this in, like, or maybe I can't. That might be really hard. And then he plays it. And when he plays it, it like emits shockwaves or whatever. He does magic with it. Maybe he's a bard. He's a bard. He's a Viking bard with a cool ass tattoo. Guitar isn't that rad. Give me 3 seasons in a movie right now. And then a live action movie with The Rock in it and Tom Holland as the guitar. I started off trying to think of like a bunch of like wolf tattoos maybe, or something symbolic of like attacking or just symbolizing Vikings, and I ended up just writing some runes along the side, following the curvature of it, making sure that the nipples stay visible because of obvious reasons. I also tattooed the symbol for music right there on his, what is this, sternum? Below the sternum? The middle of his abs, which he has. Isn't he hot? Put some sort of other thing on his shoulder because it looked really cool. And then when he takes the guitar out of him, he still has tattoos. Or out of himself, he still has some cool tattoos, which is always nice. Otherwise, tattoos stay on during sex. You're naked. You're not fully dressed until you wear a smile and some tattoos. What happened next? Oh yeah, I painted him red. Maybe you're wondering what's going on there. I thought it looked cool. My lore My lore excuse is that it symbolizes blood and he's frightening the evil creatures like the undead or the opposing tribes with a slightly different worldview, which makes them entirely evil. And by painting himself red, and he's got the horns on his helmet to look like a demon. It all makes sense, and I definitely meant it that way. I give him a sword on his back to sort of give him a cool silhouette. Sword? No, that's a shield, you dumbass. I'm sorry. And then I just sort of moved on to the painting, honestly. I did a drawing of the back because for completionist's sake, and then I just moved on to the illustration because I don't know. I decided to, well, I started with some thumbnails. Again, I know I'm off screen, don't worry about it. Man, it's always so fun to flip between like layers because I can see all the work I did. Right, I started off with sort of a low angle shot of him holding his guitar all cool like, and he's just doing like a strum. And I thought that looked pretty nice. Second one, I decided to be experimental and did him like hitting someone with his guitar. Maybe while playing, I don't know. He's a Viking, they hit people. Third one, I placed him in sort of like the middle of a battle setting, just playing his guitar, but I didn't like that. Felt like he didn't really care about the setting, and he does care. Fourth one, we started getting somewhere. He's like very low down, very low down, very low down, very low down. He's strumming his guitar, but I didn't like the setting. And then I realized that there are some things I like about the settings or of the previous thumbnails. The first thumbnail I liked because he's in a forest, which you can obviously tell from this great thumbnail. The second thumbnail I absolutely hated, so I did nothing with that. The third thumbnail I liked the foreground elements of the people, and the fourth thumbnail I liked the pose of him. So I sort of hodgepodged together a fifth thumbnail that included all of these things that I liked and worked from there. I made it bigger, started throwing in some color. I wanted, what was his name? Percy. I wanted Percy to be sort of shrouded in shadow a little bit with then elements of light peeking onto him. I think I ended up ditching that because it was ugly, but the idea was cool. The foreground, I placed the Viking here and the Viking here, like real big buff Vikings, but they ended up being not Vikings. So they're what's it called? They're transcultural, transracial. Yeah, they're the TikTok trend. They're transracial, you know? They were born Vikings, but then they decided to be dead. I don't know. Transmortal. They're transmortal. That's a cool word. Someone write that down. I started throwing in some more colors, chucked in the guitar, so I sort of had an idea what was going on. You might not, but I kind of know. It's for me to know and you to find out. Then I decided to check my anatomy because I've seen people do that and I always fuck it up. So, and then I have to fix it later. So I decided to do it. And what do you know? It helps. Huh. I should do that more often, but I don't. Later on in the video, there's more characters who also have anatomy that I don't check, but they're not the center of attention, so who cares? I started fleshing out the composition a little more, adding some more distinct elements like the dark Vikings. I threw in the concept of I chucked the someone call an ambulance, I'm having a stroke. But don't really do it, that was a joke. Instead, get me an egg and remove the yolk. 'Cause I'm from a egg whites only folk. I threw the reference of Percy up into the top right hand corner where I could zoom in on his face because I was gonna paint his face. I messed around with the size of the head a bunch of times, which I could have just checked using like the 8 head rule, but I don't do that because I hate doing that. It's so annoying. It's so limiting, I feel. You do what you want. I'm not gonna do that. Once that was done, I added another layer apparently. Oh yeah, I adjusted the color, making everything a little more blue. So to like indicate a cold environment, because I did want this to be set in a northern country, Nordic even. It's what Australians call women. Nordic. And a fun fact about me, that's where I am right now. I'm in a northern country. Hey, even I'll go outside and take a video. Once that was done, it was really just render. I don't know that there's very much interesting for me to say here. I might just put on some nice music, maybe jazz. Do you like jazz? You're not happy about the jazz? I could put on some pop, Taylor Swift. No, I'll do the jazz. And yeah. Rendering is always a very like chill step of the way, but it almost feels too long sometimes. I don't know, but it's very nice to have something mindless to do occasionally. I have a free day off work today, or yeah, I had a free day off work, so I was just sort of just like puzzling probably. If I did puzzles, I could be more accurate about that, but if you do puzzles, let me know. Is it like rendering? If you are part of a very specific subgroup of people who do drawing and puzzles, or maybe that's not that specific, I don't know. You can let me know if it's like that. Anyway, once I finished rendering, I moved on to the effects, which I forgot to record because I'm an idiot. But I mean, I recorded some of them, so don't be a dick. Here's the final result. Do you like it? I hope you like it. I think it's alright. Could have done better, could have done worse. I honestly like the concept art of Percy more than the finished drawing, but it's often that way. I specifically like this guy right here. He's my favorite. He was super easy to draw, so that's nice, and he looks pretty cool. That guy deserves a cooler name. That guy can be Percy as well. They can both be Percy. These guys that don't have names. We're not like that. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you gained something from this. I need to stop doing this with my arms. I'm casting spells on you. I've actually secretly been hypnotizing you this entire time. I don't know if you played out the video, you're gonna see the subliminal messaging that I've been doing. Here, I'll do it for you. Subscribe. Ooh, subscribe. Yeah, that was really in the video. I'm not even joking. Oh yeah, sorry. The like as well. That too. Yeah, that was in the video. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. Love you.